Welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be making Krang Krang. Some people call it Krang Krang. I don't know why, but this is basically a mixture of fried corn and groundnuts. Okay, it's not any kind of corn you would use. You need soft corn, because if you use the corn that is hard, you will not be able to chew it. So for our ingredients, of course, you already know we need corn, we need groundnut, and then we need a lot of salt. We are going to be using salt because we want to avoid our corn and groundnut from burning. So the salt is going to be like what is going to layer the pot to avoid it from burning quick. Now you want to go ahead, when you're buying your groundnut, make sure you buy the groundnuts that have those small eyes. It makes it more delicious. Like, this is the groundnut that is better for frying as opposed to the very fat eyed groundnuts. Okay, so we have our corn, we have our groundnut, and then we have our salt. You go ahead to take out every bad groundnut, anything that is bad, you don't want it. Imagine chewing bad groundnut, not nice. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. And because it's a rainy season, some of them, it's like they were catching cold or something. Yeah, so I decided to go ahead a step further and wash my groundnut. For my corn, I did the same. I would go ahead and just pick out every dirt from the corn, and then I would blow it so that any dirt should just fly away. So that's what I'm going to do. Just keep watching and see how the process goes. Like I said earlier, I am going to wash my groundnut. This is not compulsory. What I'm going to do is I would wash it and then put it under the sun. Now, when you're making your Krang Krang, that's your corn and groundnut, you have to start by frying the corn first. So while the corn is frying, the groundnut will be draining or dripping or drying. Okay, but I'll have you know that even if you don't have sun to dry the groundnut and you find that you absolutely need to wash your groundnut, you can just put it in the pot even when you've just washed it. Why? Because the heat from the pot is going to dry up the groundnut before it starts frying it. Okay, and actually I think that having a little water on the groundnut is actually nice, because it's going to help it soak up some of the salt, and because it turned out really nice, the groundnut is really tasty. So I think it's actually a good idea to go ahead and wash your groundnut. Now I put my salt in the pot, and then I pour in my corn and start mixing. You just go ahead and mix. You can use whatever you prefer. I just grabbed my stick and I was mixing with it. You can use whatever you prefer to mix with it. A wooden spoon would work. Yeah, so I just continued mixing. If you see any dirt, take it out. I will do this process for 15 to 20 minutes before I add my groundnut. You're going to add your groundnut only when you notice that your corn is beginning to get brown. Okay, that's a sign that your corn is getting ready. So you would add your groundnut at that point. Okay, and then come to think of it, I said earlier that I don't know why they call it Krang Krang. The sound that this pot was making when I was mixing the corn and the groundnut, I think that is the Krang Krang. I think that's where that name is coming from. Anyways, I know that some people will take this to school when they are going to school. It's basically like when you give somebody ching ching, but I don't know if it's widely practiced now. But before, I think people would even serve you with like corn and groundnut when you visit them. Drop it in the comment section. Have you ever made Krang Krang for yourself, or do you always buy from the people on the street? In fact, I think that is a great business idea for somebody that would like to do this. I had seen a video of a lady on YouTube who sells this, and she has sponsored I think her 2 children to school selling Krang Krang. I don't know how she does it, how the profit turns out, but yeah, that's what she did. She used it for business. But again, I would say that I bought corn for 500 francs, and then I bought groundnut for 500 francs as well. For me, I like my corn to be more than the groundnut, but not too much. Okay, so that's why I bought for the same price. You can see how my mixture looks. At this point, I had been turning this corn on the fire for like 20 minutes continuously. You don't want to allow it. If you leave it, it will burn. The salt is going to help it not burn fast, but it will eventually burn if you leave it on the fire, and it needs high heat. Some of the corn actually started popping. This particular corn, when you get it, your corn will start popping at some point. Okay, so this one that I bought, my corn and my groundnut was like 1,000, and then the salt that I used, I bought salt for 300, so that was 1,300. But I'm sure if I have to tie this like in portions for sale, it will probably give me like for 2,000 or for 2,500, which definitely shows that there's a profit margin there. Yeah, so I just thought to check that and see, but this is not the process I want to do, so I would buy. There's one man who always sells it, and I feel like theirs has another taste that mine did not have. Like theirs is, I think, is la force de l'experience in making Krang Krang. There's this man that always, he uses a plate like to peel off the groundnut. They have this way that they do it that is just amazing to see, and then they tie it in papers or in wrappings, however you want, and then they give to you. Anyways, keep watching the video. If you are my friend, you're going to help me to turn this, because it's a lot of turning. Just, it's your turn. Take the stick and start turning for me. If you're on this channel and you haven't subscribed, please do well to subscribe, okay, before you leave this video. At this point, our corn and groundnut is already ready. You can see that our salt is no longer white. We have been stirring this thing for almost 40 minutes in total, and it's a whole process. But yeah, this is our delicious Krang Krang. You just need to pour it in a strainer, and then so that the salt can be separated from the corn and the groundnut, which is what I am doing now. After that, you go ahead and package it. Of course, you don't want to put it in a bottle when it's still hot, because it's going to sweat and it's going to cause your corn and groundnut to get wet. Okay, but you also don't want to leave it out for too long, because it's going to become it's going to take in air, and then it's going to become, what's the word, it's not good for it to take in air. So you just lock it up in an airtight container when it is completely cold. Okay, you don't want to leave it out too long after it is cold. So this is how to make corn and groundnut. Are you going to be trying it out? It's so delicious. I enjoyed mostly the groundnut. The corn, I always have a problem, especially if the corn is not very soft. This was a soft corn that I used, but for some reason it was still a little bit hard. Do you have a technique that you use to make your Krang Krang to make it very soft? I like it very soft. Maybe I should just use fresh corn. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Excuse my paper, that's what we normally do. That's how we used to tie corn and groundnut back then. I remember growing up, we would fry the very hard corn, and we'll use oil and we'll put salt. It will be so salty and oily, and we'll use papers like this to wrap it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you on the next one. Bye.